Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the fifth and final 3-minute reflection from Jane Williams's fabulous book, The Merciful Humility of God. And today's reflection is called Risen and Ascended into Humility. So we follow Jesus from his affirmation at his baptism as the beloved, through the powerful temptation to be a kind of imperious Son of God rather than the obedient, relational Son of the Father, the Son of Man, through his first followers, and through seeing him strangely using his power not to influence the people who could have helped his cause, but really the useless, to that final confrontation, the place of execution, which looks like what happens to all those people who don't know their place. And then God does something that looks more like God and less humble to us. He raises him from the dead in this great show of power. But even then there are clues to the humility of God. It's not that Jesus is risen in some great light arrangement in which all his enemies can see it's obvious and they should have known all along. It's in relationship to his friends that he comes. And then they don't immediately recognise him. And there's something strange. He's not sort of shining with iridescent light, but actually holds the marks of his suffering. And when he comes to his friends, he comes to individuals. For example, he reinstates Peter. Peter has gone fishing, if you can look it up in John 21, because he thinks he can't really cope with it, that maybe that's all that's left. And as he jumps out of the boat, he puts his clothes back on because he's been fishing with no clothes on because it's very, very messy. But he's a bit worried about coming back to Jesus, who's going to do what? And Jesus takes him through that process, the process that he's completed at the cross of restoration, that Peter can be forgiven and reinstated. And so, as we look back on the God that we've seen through Jesus this Lent, we see his humility, which means that as followers, that message of repentance and forgiveness and reinstatement, that's there. So we take with us into the story of Easter the glorious humility of God, mercy itself.